Hello and welcome to Leonard Brother Game. Yep. Back to Killzone. So anyways, I was kind of wanting to make this section of the video in response to your all familiar.
We're clear. Hammer 2 underway. All units, push up and assist. Copy, Hammer 4. Nice work.
The comparisons between the Wii U and the Virtual, saying that the Wii U is the next edition of the Virtual Boy, and that Nintendo should have learned from its failures of that previous system. And they cited the fact that, well, Virtual Boy was technology beyond its time. If they released it a few years later, they could have had proper color instead of just red. They could have had larger, more dynamic, crisper, quality screen, and a larger game library if they had allowed third-party support to actually get on there, and instead of just Waterworld. Kind of embarrassing to think the only game that's got on there from another party is pretty much Waterworld. And anyways, and they're saying the Wii U is following through the same trap, and I tend to disagree. I think the Wii U actually has, good, compelling games, even if they are only first party. Beyond the Wario game on the Virtual Boy, they didn't really have much of anything going for it. They only had 3 games at launch. I think the Wii U had like a dozen games. Even though a lot of them were ports, and some of them were inferior, like Batman Arkham City. Faster. Anyways, I still think it's got a better chance to it. At least more companies are supporting it than the Virtual Boy, certainly. I think they seem to be getting a little better than the original Wii. I'm sure they've made a lot of missteps and a lot of similar mistakes, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it turned out to be. The price was obviously prohibitive for the Virtual Boy. It started at like $180 for a portable system when they already had the original Game Boy down to like 100.
Okay, understood.
And even though it was a monochrome screen, it was still easier to see and play than the Virtual Boy. So there's something going for it there.
More armor incoming.
In general, it's
12 o'clock, 15 high.
I think the graphics wise, it's last gen. I know it's the same as the PS3. It doesn't make it bad. I'm looking at this game. The game still looks great, despite being 3 years old now. And it's on last gen. They're still making plenty of games out for PS3 and 360. It's not like they're going to be ignored or abandoned like the PS2. I mean, it's such a huge increase. And of course, a lot of reports saying about the PS4 and the Xbox One, the reason that these systems are already reaching their peak is because with the proprietary setup of the 360 and the PS3, the cell processor, they had to start from scratch, pretty much, and learn the ropes and figure out all they could get out of the hardware at the time. And even though the PS4 has 8 gig of GDDR5 memory and 10 times the processing power and all kinds of other stuff, it's still vastly inferior, or at least the same quality as a standard PC, and there's nothing else they can get out of it. People are already reaching their peak. A lot of games for Killzone 4, for example, Shadowfall, single player is 1080p resolution, 60 frames a second, but they had to drop down the multiplayer to 720 and like 900p in spots. Because it's just too much for it to handle, and it being standard hardware, there's nothing else that they can really extract out of it beyond what a PC could do. And it's still around the same price, or even like significantly cheaper than an equivalent PC. Now that the specs are the same as standard hardware, it is easier to make that kind of comparison. And it's still PS4, even though it's limited to, or Xbox One limited to its own software. It's still about the same capabilities as a PC that is significantly more expensive than it. save money on one hand, but not really helping in other ways. But at least Nintendo itself is kind of lost. You know, they got significant changes going in structure and departments, and people trying to get things done. They've got some changes to make. As a lot of reports said when they first started releasing some HD content, they were surprised at how much extra work it took to get 3D games going. You know, the higher end HD content, because they'd never worked on that before. Have to put as many teams on it as they do now. And from what they got, like Mario 3D World is fantastic. I'm sure the Legend of Smash Brothers is looking great. I'm sure the HD Legend of Zelda will be phenomenal. Kirby and all kinds of other different franchises, and plenty of money in the bank to rely on. So all these people are naysayers, and they just, even if the Wii U is a flop, there's no reason for it for Nintendo to completely abandon it and go third party. Because I think part of the advantage of Nintendo is kind of like part of the advantage of Apple. They have the hardware and the software, and they know better than anybody else how to take advantage of whatever they're working on. And sure, the tablet doesn't have that good a battery life, but you can get a bigger battery for it. And a lot of people look at it as generally a gimmick. Like, well, I mean, I thought the motion controls in and of themselves were so limiting, but I think the difference, too, with the tablet controller is that it at least has the same kind of buttons as a normal controller. It may not feel like one because the spacing of the controller is obviously different than the standard one. But it at least has the option that you don't have to put as much effort into porting games to motion controls with less buttons. Put in completely different styles. It could have like the Wii remote daisy chain to a nunchuck or a classic controller, and having to have all these options. Sure, it's nice to have options, but it's nice to have something uniform as well that everybody can look at and say, hey, this is something standard, this is something we can rely on, that people are going to have this out of the box. Which is why a lot of other things don't work out as well. The Xbox One is trying to push Kinect, because at least Kinect 2, because every system has one. A lot of people didn't, create stuff for the first Kinect because they didn't buy it. They weren't guaranteed to have one. So I don't know if it's necessarily working out any better for them. From what I've seen, it's just made it more expensive and something people don't really want. They'd rather have the voice command, sure, but other things are just not as important. Pretty bad storm out. Where am I? Objectives. Okay. Minus not right. That would be useful. Clearly I need it. Okay. Oh boy. Easy. Akbar. It's a trap. We go where you that. Is that my guy? No, that's not. Should I be up this high?
Your priority is the machine guns.
Machine gun. Oh. Where? This guy? More realistic, obviously, but blood splatter is nice there too. Reload. Oh, that guy. I see. Did I hit it? How did I? Okay. Pretty good shot if I can hit it. Is there a next one higher up here, maybe? I don't know. Part of me just hates these sections of games. Look at this. Nope, gotcha. Oh, nope. Headshot.
That's it! That's the last one!
Really? That seemed like it would take a lot longer. Oh, where do I go now? Here? Well, that doesn't really... If that's the last one, what am I... What am I fighting for? Snipers. Okay. There we go. I was expecting to find. Die.
Good shooting.
Ah, it's just pure dumb luck. Okay, It was a lot easier to talk when I was on rails. Where's the next set? Okay, there it is. Right in front of me. Oh, all the way.
Building, second floor. Got him.
Thanks for pointing that out. I would not have seen. Next one? Anybody?
Other building, second floor.
Other building. Which other building? There's lots of other buildings. You gotta be a little more specific. Left side? Other building? I'm not seeing a red trail nowhere. For. I'm not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? Where is it?
Second floor, building on the left.
Okay, that's a little more specific. Still not seeing it. That guy? That guy. Oh wait, that is a guy. There we go.
Another one down.
Yes, that's not. Anybody else? One at a time?
Left corner, third floor.
Oh, I get to get these guys because I'm lazy. Boom.
Leave the ground troops to us.
I don't want to leave the ground troops to you. I want to shoot something I can actually shoot at. There we go.
Bullseye.
So that the mission just won't continue unless I kill all these snipers.
There, front building, 3 floors up.
Okay, that's more specific. Where is it? That down there. But
That's a confirmed kill.
I can just shoot their shoulder and it still kills them. Maybe I'd have to get headshots in a higher difficulty.
Yeah.
It's nice to have these unlimited ammo supply depots too. I think one thing I was going to mention with
4th floor rooftop.
the comparison between these, you know, Sony put so much behind Killzone that I think they pretty much neglected the one system, the one series that could have really made a difference. And that being Resistance. I was a big fan of the first 2 Resistance. I did really well with them, even I went to the multiplayer beta for Resistance 2, and it was pretty good for an online game. I was quite surprised. And I think, you know, it has more relatable characters, more realistic situations. I mean, it's based in World War II days, and instead of fighting the Nazis, we're fighting aliens because they interrupted our battle. And so we're using like tech and equipment of that time and picking up alien weapons and stuff. And I think the series, you know, kind of took a wrong turn on the 3rd one because it introduced the health packs.
Let's mop up the ground troops.
Now I can help them. But yeah, health packs. I prefer regenerative health. Most modern shooters, to many classic shooter people don't really like to have instant health. You just like hide in the corner and then you come back through in certain situations.
Roger that, sir.
But yeah, I prefer to have it regenerative. I think there's more strategy there than trying to save health packs and running for your life because you can't heal otherwise, especially if there's story reasons for it, you know? I think it's entirely reasonable, at least in Resistance-wise, that, you know, the main character gets infected with the alien virus, and it allows him to be more powerful. So until next time, happy gaming.